The 7 Voyages of Sinbad the Sailor. The First Voyage. My father died while I was young and left me a fortune. Having no one to restrain me, I fell into bad ways, by which I not only wasted my time, but injured my health and destroyed my property. When I recovered, I collected together what was left of my fortune and bought merchandise, which I loaded on board a vessel for the port of Balsora. During the voyage, we touched at several islands, where we sold or exchanged our goods. We were one day becalmed near a small island. As its appearance was inviting, we determined to dine upon it. But while we were laughing and preparing for dinner, the island began to move, and at the same moment the people in the ship called out that we were on the back of a monstrous whale. Some jumped into the boat, and others swam to the ship. But before I could get off, the animal dived into the sea, and I had only time to catch hold of a piece of wood that had been brought from the ship to serve as a table. Upon this piece of timber, I was carried away by the current. The others reached the vessel, but a gale sprang up, and the ship sailed without me. I floated during that and the next night, but the following morning was thrown on a small island. I found fresh water and fruit. I looked about for some house, but found none. There were a number of colts grazing together, but no traces of other animals. When evening approached, I took some more fruit and climbed into a tree to sleep. About midnight, the sound of trumpets and drums seemed to pass around the island, which continued until morning, when again it seemed to be uninhabited. On the next day, I found that the island was small, and that no other land was in sight. I therefore gave myself up as lost. Nor were my fears lessened when I found that the shore abounded with enormous serpents and other sea monsters. I found, however, that they were timid, and that the rattling of sticks would make them dive into the water. I climbed the tree next night, and the drums and trumpets returned as before. On the third day, I had the satisfaction of seeing a body of men, who, on landing, were astonished to see me there. Having related to them how I came hither, they told me they were grooms of King Mirage, that the island belonged to genii, who visited it every night with drums and trumpets, that the genii had allowed their sovereign to train his colts upon the island, and that they, being sent every 6 months to select some, had arrived for that purpose. The grooms carried me to King Mirage, who allowed me apartments in his palace. One day I saw men unloading a ship in the harbor, and saw that some of the bales were those which I had sent to Balsora. Going up to the captain, I said, "Captain, I am Sindbad." "Surely," said he, "I and the passengers saw Sindbad swallowed in the waves many 100 miles away." Some others, however, coming up, I was recognized, and the captain then restored me the bales with many congratulations. I made a valuable present to King Mirage, who bestowed a rich gift on me in return. And, having made some advantageous purchases, I arrived at Balsora, where, after I had sold my goods, I found myself possessed of 100,000 sequins. The end.